Hi and welcome to this video from my trip to Gothenburg in Sweden. Yes, it's early Sunday morning, and after a quick stop at Espresso House for that very important hot caffeinated beverage, I walk towards my train, a train from the company V, which used to be the Norwegian State Railways NSB. This is the only Norwegian train to leave Norway, and it heads to only one place, and that's Gothenburg, which is good because I'm going there. I'm not actually going on this trip to go to Gothenburg. I'm going to Denmark, but I wanted to treat myself, and last time I was in Gothenburg I enjoyed it rather a lot, and I've been watching some videos from YouTuber Steve Marsh, and he showed me some places in Gothenburg, and one of them I wanted to try out, so I'm spending the night here before I go to Denmark tomorrow. Train leaving the Oslo Central Station right on time. We don't get to see much these days because there's a tunnel, and it takes us out of the city. And as you could see, I had a little problem focusing here, but it kind of also shows you how foggy it was today. So I think this is Moss station. Yes, it was very foggy and grey all the way, pretty much until we got halfway between the border and Gothenburg. I think it was around Trollhättan. It cleared up and we got some blue, nice skies. Still the harbor at Moss. No ferries from there anymore, I'm afraid. Well, there is, but just across the fjord. So here we are again, an example of how grey and foggy it was today. And I talked to people in Oslo later on, and it was still as grey and foggy. So not much to tell from this trip so far. So I'll just let you watch the scenery fly by the window as we head towards Sweden and Gothenburg.
Stasjon Halden.
And this is Ed Station, the first railway stop after we crossed the border into Sweden. As you can see, the fog was still going on, but it's always a good thing when you pass the border with Sweden, because that's when the train picks up speed and the line gets much straighter. And so, you know, even though it's much further between the border and Gothenburg than the Oslo to the border, we usually get through that part of the train trip about as fast as the other first half. So heading into another Swedish town here. I think this is Trollhättan, and as you can see, the weather has cleared up quite significantly since we were in Norway. And Trollhättan, never really been here, but it is the last stop with the Norwegian train before we get to Gothenburg. And again, you can see here in the Swedish farmland of Bohuslän, it's much nicer weather now. So going well for my trip into Gothenburg.
Riktig god formiddag, kjære gjester. Om kort tid kjører toget inn til Gothenburg sentral, som vår endestasjon. Og for øyeblikket vi noen få minutter før rutetid. Før dere går av togene i Gothenburg, ta en god titt rundt deg og få med alle personlige eiendeler. En ekstra titt i CD-rommet og i hatterhyllen kan være veldig lurt. I tillegg til å rette opp setryggen din og ta det du har igjen av avfall til søppelkassen på vei ut. Dette vil troligvis få hjelpe. Vi vil og gjerne på vegne av Fly og oss som har jobbet oppord. Takke for at dere har reist med oss fra Oslo i dag. Ønsker vi dere alle en riktig god dag og en god fornøyelse her i Gothenburg. Dear guests, we will soon arrive at Gothenburg Central. This is our final stop and the train is ahead of schedule. Before you disembark, please make sure to get all your personal belongings with you. And if you would be so kind to put your seat back to an upright position, take what you have left of waste to the waste bin. We really appreciate the help. We will also, on behalf of Fly and the staff on board, thank you for traveling with us, and we hope to see you again soon. We wish you a good stay in Gothenburg.
Neste stasjon Göteborg. Dette togets endestasjon.
So quickly, one of the reasons why I decided to go to Gothenburg was, as I said earlier, because I've been watching YouTube videos from Stephen Marsh. He's a Scottish YouTuber who travels around and does that in a very Scottish way around Scotland, but he also visits other places around Europe. He's even been to Canada and Norway and Sweden, and he visited Gothenburg a while back, and it was just sort of one day, and he traveled by tram where I am traveling now, which is first west, then southwest of the city center, out towards an area called Saltholmen, which is sort of a, kind of a Land's End place where there's a ferry point where you can sail out to a bunch of islands in the Swedish Skärgården, which are smaller than the ones just north of them. And I had never even seen anything from there. And when you travel past all these beautiful houses that you're seeing here out in the western suburbs of Gothenburg, and he also mentioned that this was on the tram ticket for the city center, the 24-hour ticket that I bought several times, but I didn't know that it actually worked this far out to the west, and also on the ferries, which is something you'd think someone like me who's worked selling tickets for public transport for many years in Oslo would have picked up on. Another reason was that in addition to showing us these places, and here you see that beautiful church that I didn't know about at all, he went, like I said, to the ferry point out at this place, and it reminded me of the ferry ticket office at Aker Brygge in Oslo, where I worked for 9 years selling tickets and giving information to the commuters who travels across the Oslo fjord, and who also travels out to the islands of Oslo, where you have people going for swimming and recreational stuff in the summer, of course, but also have their summer cabins out on these islands. A lot of people go to them in the wintertime too, to just make sure everything is okay. And these islands that he went to really reminded me of that, and it's a period of my life that I'm missing because that ticket office was closed. So it was sort of both for me, a bit of nostalgia, and as you can see, sightseeing, because check out these houses. They are really something beautiful, and there are so many beautiful places in Sweden that I really need to see and discover. And you might ask why. You're a Norwegian and you spend so much time of your life in Denmark. Isn't that enough? Well, the thing is, I am part Swedish. My mother was from Sweden, and she, although she got married to a Norwegian, not my dad, my brother's father, and moved to Norway at the age already of 18 or 19. She did mention Sweden a lot, and she always around Christmas time and the winter time she would often bring up Swedish things. And I also went to Sweden a lot as a kid to visit my grandparents, her adopted parents. One of them, my mother's adopted mother, she lived in Lund in Skåne in the south of Sweden, and my mother's adopted father, he lived in Farstad in Stockholm because they got divorced. And then later on, after my mother died, I actually found out that she was adopted from a mother who had several children and worked as a cleaning lady under very poor circumstances in Skåne. So on my mother's side, I am actually from a small town called Åhus in northeastern Skåne, or Scania, the southernmost area of Sweden. And I don't know much about her real father, but I think he came from Western Skåne, and he wasn't the best kind of person. So she was adopted by some other parents who back then lived in Stockholm. So I always heard Stockholm dialect growing up, and I try to avoid doing a Gothenburg dialect, just like I try to avoid doing a Scottish dialect, because I don't want to offend anyone. So here I'm basically just walking in the footsteps of Steve Marsh, and good for me, because that I wouldn't have had the inkling to go out here, and it was just such a beautiful day. It wasn't as warm as it was back on Thursday in Oslo, when it was up to 18 degrees in the beginning of March. But just a perfect, beautiful day, and a good way for me to have a break from some of my worries and thoughts right now, and reconnecting with my Swedish side. So I am heading towards the ferry here, and the idea was that I wasn't going to talk over this, but both to some extent on the tram, but more so on the ferry, there are people, let's call them that, talking a lot. And there are children who are not so much talking as screaming. And these people seemed very uninterested in the journey. They knew nothing about the destination. We had to get off the ferry there because the ferry closed down for half an hour or so because the crew were having their lunch break, and there was a lot of discussion and confusion. And yeah, luckily these people stayed inside the ferry on the way back. But of course, the majority of my filming took place during the trip out, which was absolutely wonderful. Yeah, so the screaming and loud conversations continued, but I wanted to stay where I was because it's on the outside of the ship, and the windows on the inside didn't look all that clean. Also, it was very warm inside. So, svenska skärgården, the Swedish archipelago, sorry, bad pronunciation, are all the islands most people think of, I guess, would be the ones that are stretching from Stockholm across the Baltic Sea and the Åland Islands and out towards Finland. But the west side of Sweden also have a lot of islands dotted along the coast on, the approach from Denmark, for example. And maybe they're not quite as well known, but they're rugged and they're good looking. They have lots of cabins on them. And although there are roads on many of these, paved roads even, and there are bridges between some of these islands, they are mostly free of cars, regular cars. So I noticed in passing some of these islands that you had these little golf cart electrical thing driving around, and whatever cars you saw that were actual cars, they mostly had some company name on them and did delivery or were an emergency vehicle. Very nice seeing the swans out there. And this is yours truly, listening to music, not the sounds of nature. Again, because of a lot of loud noises coming from other people. So this particular ferry stopped, I think it was 5 times on its route. And then, like I mentioned earlier, at the last stop, they took a break for about half an hour, allowing the crew to have their lunch break and allowing me to, get on one of these islands, which I hadn't really planned. I was just thinking I was going to sit on the boat for the entirety and then just go back to Gothenburg. But I'm very glad I got a chance to actually touch, put my feet on one of these islands. This seemed to be the bigger one of them, and it had at least 2 ports of call, with some beautiful buildings, as you can see here. And there's a lot of money tied up in these, I think. So, like I mentioned, we arrived at one of the islands, and we all had to leave the ferry because the crew shut the ferry down for about half an hour to have their lunch break. So here I am leaving the boat, and as you can see, this is a very lovely place indeed. Look at that sky. That is just what a bonus. And so a lot of the people sort of ventured up the road you see there, both in the middle and on the side. There, I think there was a bakery a little further up, and I think there was a pub even just around the corner there. But not knowing this island, and knowing that we could get back on the ferry in roughly 20-25 minutes from now, I decided to just walk along a little bit on the side there and find a nice bench and enjoy the sunshine and hear the silence finally, and the birds and the seagulls perhaps as well. I mean, people who stay and live out here, wow, they must have a lovely life, I would guess. It seemed to be a little tower of sorts. So there's the ferry itself, by the way. Handsome thing there from, I think it was early 90s or something. I saw a plaque on the inside of the ferry. So this is where I was sitting, and now I'm heading back on board the ferry. The distances and the amount of islands were bigger, and a lot more of them than I had thought. I guess I should have many years ago really read up on this. Yeah, beautiful sunshine, and just a lovely place. Imagine how crowded and how many people will come out here in the summertime. So I don't know what it's like to swim here in the summer. I mean, on the Danish side, the temperature can get quite nice, but the water will be more shallow around the coast and just sandy beaches, and no rocky islands like we have here on the Swedish side. So I'm thinking maybe the stream and the water never really get heated up that much. I don't know, but it'd be interesting to find out one day. So yeah, I'm just wanted to share these beautiful pictures with you. There's the name of the ferry, Frøya. There's an old Norse name there, one of the gods. So let's head on back on board. So the lovely ferry ride was concluded. I didn't really see any point in filming all the whole way back. So I got off at a tram stop here and was fascinated by the long line at the hot dog sausage kiosk and this building up here that I didn't really pinpoint what was, but I knew that there was a secondhand record shop around the corner that I have never visited, so I'm walking towards that now. I have to include a little bit for my minor community viewers. I don't know if I got the best of experience in here. Because I'm going to Denmark for various reasons, I don't want to bring things there, and I'm planning to try and carry a big chunk of my records from Denmark back home with me to Norway when I'm going back in about 14 days. Did I see some things that were tempting in here? Yes, I did. But I also felt a little bit like I was intruding. These were some guys in there who were sitting on chairs and looking at the 45s and so on, and they seemed to be very chummy with each other. But like I said, I didn't want to spend money on records today. So, but I wanted to show you guys and share this place. It's a little bit out of the way. How long is it? The tram ride out to the ferry point was about 40 minutes from the center of town. So I would think this was about 15 minutes out of the way, sort of, from where I usually go in Gothenburg. So. But I'm glad I stopped there because now I know about this place and the Style Council. And from a travel video point of view, this is bringing the video to a screeching halt. But there you go. That's what I did today. So I just wanted to show you. There was, as always, something tempting here at Bengnans as well. There are a few CDs I was kind of keen to pick up, and there were some pretty good deals in the bargain bin. I held fast and decided not to. There's that green record they keep showing in every video these days. And decided not to. Lots of tempting. Look, it's Aurora. I got that one. So, and there's the bargain CDs, and there were a few things I would have liked, but I was a very focused person today. I said don't buy anything, and I didn't. Taking the tram back to the tram stop next to my hotel now. Just a quick look at my hotel room where I'm recording this. Tired after all the fresh sea air. And there's, by the way, the new very tall building in Gothenburg. So thanks for watching, guys. Bye.